these little sprint-ready stories. Maybe we've got 2 to 3 sprints worth of sprint-ready stories collected at the top of our product backlog. Now, as we look farther out into the future in our product backlog, well, those stories start to get, gradually bigger and bigger and less well-defined, and that's okay, because we're going to have time before we get to them. So we've got this collection of things that people want, and then we decide, all right, let's have a team that can produce these results. And so, yeah, let's use Scrum to organize and support that work. So the first thing we do in a sprint is we have to create a plan. So we have a cleverly named meeting called sprint planning. And in our sprint planning meeting, we are pulling things from the top of this product backlog, and the team is making a commitment, right, to a set of product backlog items. PBI is the TLA. And so we have a set of these product backlog items that the whole team has full confidence that they will deliver to the business this sprint, right? We say that's our forecast that we're going to give to the business, that we're forecasting, hey, we're going to have these by the end of the sprint. And then in the second phase of typical sprint planning, the team will break each of those product backlog items down into tasks. And each product backlog item, or each story, will result in lots and lots of little tasks, either the actual pieces of work that people will do, and then hopefully that collection of product backlog items is serving some overarching sprint goal, right? Big picture goal that this sprint is serving. So we call this sprint goal the collection of product backlog items, the deliverables that support that goal, and the tasks which define the team's plan for getting those product backlog items done. Collectively, we call this the sprint backlog. And that's the output from sprint planning. So great, we walk out of sprint planning, the team gets to work. Every day, the team gets together for a short, 15-minute meeting called the daily Scrum. And the daily Scrum is the team's daily planning meeting. And it's where the team is identifying, what are the most important tasks, what are the most important pieces of work for the team to get done today, and who's going to do which task. And we need to do this every day because we work in the complex domain. And in the complex domain, our notion of what work is necessary, what work is the most important, is going to change every day. Right? Because as we do the work, we're discovering more about the work. We might also run into some problems or impediments, right? Things that are slowing us down, and so addressing those might be some of the most important work to do today. And so the team gathers together, examines all those tasks, makes their plan for which ones are the most important, and then out the door we go, hey, we've got our plan for the day. So we do this every day. At the end of our sprint, boy, hopefully we've got these product backlog items done. And so we gather together our stakeholder community and hold the sprint review. Now, I think of the sprint review as the town hall meeting for this product. So we're gathering together all the people who care about this product or whatever kind of value it is that this team produces, and we're having conversations about the product. Now, we're going to start those conversations by getting on the same page about, well, where is the product right now? And so if there are any product backlog items that didn't get all the way to done this sprint, we got to tell our stakeholders about that. And then we proceed to demonstrate the ones that did get done so we all have the same understanding about where the product is right now, because we all just saw the same demo. And then we start talking about the future. What do these stakeholders want going forward? What's their feedback about what they just saw? What new ideas do they have? So we had these conversations about the product, and we walked out of this sprint review with new ideas and changes for our product backlog, right? Our big picture plan for the product. So after sprint review's over, we get to kick all those pesky stakeholders out of the room, and just the Scrum team holds a sprint retrospective. And in the sprint retrospective, we're trying to figure out how can we improve as a team? What can we do to become a better, higher performing Scrum team? And the outcome from that is going to be some tasks. some work we're going to do next sprint that we think is going to implement some kind of improvement that's going to help us become a better team. And we want to load those tasks in even before we do our sprint planning. We want to capture, hey, this is our team improvement work that we're going to do. Because that's really important work. If we never do that work, right? If we're always like, no, there's way too many stories, we don't have time to do that team improvement stuff, then the only way that the business gets more value from the team is if the team is willing to work more hours. And that doesn't scale very far, and it's certainly not sustainable. Whereas if the team is reinvesting some amount of its time and energy every sprint in team improvement, then over time, that team's output is going up and up and up, and we're getting more and more value from that team in a sustainable way. So it's really important. Now, this is the basic delivery cycle in Scrum. In the center of this is the Scrum team. And Scrum has 3 roles on a Scrum team. The first, and most important, is the Scrum Master. He says, pandering to a room full of people who just paid to take a Scrum Master class. Hint, if you take my product owner class, I say the product owner is the most important. So the Scrum Master is the team coach, right? The facilitator, the change agent, the team Scrum expert, the person who is teaching the members of the team and the people around the team what is Scrum, what are the supporting practices, how could we best use it here, really guiding us along our journey to using this framework effectively to do what we're really trying to do in the world, right? Create a great product, create a high-performing, happy, healthy work environment. The next role is product owner. And the product owner is setting the vision for what this product should be, what kind of value we're going to be creating, and making the decisions about which things are we going to do sooner, which things are we going to do later, which things are we going to say no to and not do at all. So this is the person defining the business outcomes that this team is then going to focus their work on delivering. And then everybody else are members of the development team. Development. It's hard to draw and talk at the same time. So the development team, these are the people who do the work to create the product. Now the Scrum framework refers to all of those people as developers, regardless of what their primary area of skill is, right? Maybe you write code, maybe you do testing, maybe you do documentation. Maybe you're using Scrum in a domain that's not related to software at all and you do other kinds of work. The Scrum framework calls you all developers because you are doing the work to develop the product from being requests in a product backlog to something that we can demonstrate to our stakeholders in sprint review. So Scrum doesn't recognize any like subtitles or sub-teams or anything like that. We certainly don't have, the programming team and the testing team. It's like, no, we're all developers. We all build the product. We succeed or fail together. That's the basic delivery cycle. But if that's all you did, you would quickly run into this problem. You get those product backlog items done, and suddenly the stuff that's at the top of your product backlog is like big and ill-defined, and now it's really hard to plan with it and know what it is and be successful at getting it done. So we need a parallel product discovery and refinement cycle that's going on. And so we have a series of product backlog refinement activities. And these are constantly going on to improve the quality of the product backlog and maintain it in this shape, right? 2 to 3 sprints worth of small sprint-ready stories at the top. Things gradually get bigger and less defined as we go down. A common product backlog refinement activity, it's not required by Scrum, but it's very common practice, is to hold a weekly meeting with the entire Scrum team and a set of hand-picked stakeholders for purposes of refining the items in that product backlog. Now, this meeting has been known by different names over the years. Back in my day, get off my lawn, we used to call it story time, because it was when we were refining and working on our stories. We thought that was a good title for it. So, in my book, The Elements of Scrum, you'll see it referred to as story time. Then the term backlog grooming got very popular. But our colleagues in the UK got very alarmed, and they said you can't call it grooming, because apparently grooming has some very bad connotation in the UK. So now a lot of people call it the product backlog refinement meeting. Like I say, it's not an official Scrum meeting, but it's a very common practice. And that is Scrum.